you ready to start your 5-year journal but don't really quite like any of the journals out there? It's kind of like me. So in today's video, I thought it'd be fun to set up my fun 5-year journal the way I like it. Let's go ahead and get started. There's loads to do. I am a bit out of the loop that I didn't even know they actually make these 5-year journals. I've just seen one little notebook in a stationery shop. So I've decided to make my own, as that's just the kind of control I'm after. If you do want to make your own, there's a few considerations. One is the notebook itself. I chose this journal from Notebook Therapy. I bought a few notebooks on sale, and since then I've been trying to assign them a purpose. I was tempted to go with the discs as always, as you could easily add the amount of pages you'd want and even print them. Now thinking about it, it's probably much less hassle. I did just want to use the journals I bought. If you do have a bullet journal or any bound journal, the first step is to do some maths. Since I have to fit 365 days in this, I was calculating how many pages I would take up if I do 2 days per page and then 3 days per page, and finally decided I'd be best to do 3 on one and 2 on the other, and that even leaves me with some extra pages, which is always welcome. This is a B5 notebook, so it's a bit bigger than the A5 one, so it affords me more space for the 3 days per page. That's another thing to consider. You don't want to necessarily just cram it in. Since I have a few pages extra, I thought I'll add a few more prompts to this journal. I've only thought of 2 extra pages so far, but I'm sure I can think of more as the days go by, and as I go through this journal, I can just add them at the back. The first page is me over the years, and I thought this was a perfect opportunity to note down and count the columns and the rows on this page, which will come in handy when planning out all the layouts. There's that math again. Ugh. I also wanted to make a little template, as counting out the dots every time is so time consuming. I would just count them out once and space them out in my head, and after that I could just go off and put the lines down easier. Now, I'm not the best with lines, and somehow I always get a few squiggly ones, so I thought I'll try and at least partially mask the lines with some washi and add some minimal decoration. I'm using Planything washi and stickers in this setup. I've learned me over the years in the space as title, and of course I can't quite imagine how much space it will take, so I just put an extra little sticker from the sticker book that was conveniently laying nearby. Next page I really wanted to make was a now and then kind of currently page where I would note down some stuff over the years. I've done this in my last year's planner, and it was so interesting to see what I wrote 12 months before. I just divided my page into columns, and it works out well as there's 6 columns, so I could use the first one as my prompts. For my prompts, I decided to add some basic life stuff like home, as I seem to be moving more than I care to admit, work, savings, weight, and that's pretty much all I could think of, but I also did add some sort of currently prompts like eating, drinking, watching, listening, YouTubers, I forgot the podcasts, reading, and all of those, and I'll also note down my subscribers and Instagram followers as well, as there was a convenient place left for it. It'll be fascinating to see how these changed over the years and what bits actually stayed the same despite my best efforts. I used the same washi here on this page and minimal stickers. I do like the minimalistic layouts. I should really consider more of them for 2025. Now we're getting into the main pages of the actual journal. You could consider all sorts of layouts and prompts. You could add a list for each day like I'm aiming to, and I'm also adding pages to add photos. You could use a little box per day to add your journaling there. If you don't care for 1 line a day kind of thing, you could do a doodle or use a random prompt like one of the currently prompts, or a journaling prompt like how you're feeling or what you're thinking about, what you're dreaming about, things like that. I would just rather do 1 line a day mixed with photos for a nice sentimental variety. For the left page, I decided to go with 3 days, but since I do have those extra pages, I thought I'll just add a title for the month and kind of make it a theme for that month. I used some washi and minimal stickers from Planything advent calendar as well here. I decided where my lines are going to be, and I noted them down on a sheet of paper as a template as well. This way I don't have to count every time, which is going to be a huge help. I've counted 15 little rows, which gives me a perfect 3 per year, and I used a mud liner to note down the years. This is a simple layout, and it'll be easy to just note down something little a day. Not a lot of spice, which is a blessing in disguise, I think. other side, since it's 2 days per page as per my calculations, I decided to make space for photos. I definitely want to take more photos to document the mundane life, and I might even add a small journaling on them as well as a light per day kind of thing. This almost makes me wish I just did it all photos, but that would be a bit too overwhelming. I do like the neat, beautiful text written out. Maybe in another 5 years, you never know. Have to admit, it took me a little while to figure out the correct spacing and make a proper template for these photo slots. I only figured that out with these first ones being a little bit wonky. Once I have these down, I'll just make a template on Canva and print my photos accordingly, kind of size them on Canva and add them on the sheet to these measurements, and they'll be the same measurements throughout the year, so that'll be easy enough. Kind of like I do for my reading journal. I wouldn't want to just measure or resize all my photos all the time, that'd be too much. I have made a couple of these templates on Canva for my photos, so different photos for my reading journal, for my documenting journals, for my now 5-year journal or source, so it'll make it that much easier, and I always look forward to when I collect enough photos on one sheet to print it out. I think I'll be setting up 1 month at a time for this first year, as honestly I was a bit fed up with drawing all the lines all over and over again for January. I am glad I made my little template, so it'll be easier to do for mindless crafting when watching something. I am very excited to start filling this in now. It'll just be so fun once the years go by and you can just read back what we were up to that day. What a great idea. A great idea that I stole from the little cheap notebook and obviously the rest of notebooks. What do you think of 5-year journals? Would you want one? Let me know in the comment section down below. If you enjoyed this video, you might also want to check this one out. That's my fun 2024 wrap up. Thank you so much for watching, and I shall see you in my next craft session.